I'm going to show you what may very well be the absolute best budget knife bargain you can actually buy today. This is the Hao Ming pocket knife. Hey, if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Jay. Now go ahead and consider clicking on that subscribe if you're looking for knife reviews. They get right to the point. All right, right about now, you should be looking at some specs up on the screen. They're all measurements I went ahead and I took myself, but I'll have them listed for you down in the description, along with like any links to buy. Oh, and if there's any coupon codes. Now, I know when it comes to budget knife bargains, there is just a ton of competition out there. You know, like knives like this Ganzo Firebird F760, or how about the K-Bar Dozier Folding Hunter, the Rake P801, the Tangram Santa Fe, and of course we can't forget about down at the bottom here the QSP Penguin, and that's just to name a few. Both the Ganzo F760 and this K-Bar Dozier, they're two budget knives at the very top of my list, which I kind of consider to be like the gold standard, you know, when it comes to knives that are the best bang for your buck. I just feel that for your money, you know, they're going to give you the biggest return, you know, on your investment. I mean, I guess if you look at knife collecting as an investment. First thing that you're going to notice about this knife is, well, its size, because it is definitely a full-size knife. I mean, you're looking at 3.75-inch blade, which honestly makes this one heck of a bagel slicer because of its reach. You know, it just kind of, it spans across the whole bagel, you know, like without having to like turn it as you cut it. The next thing that I noticed was really how well made that this thing feels in hand. You know, like whether or not it actually is, you know, I guess only time will tell the more that I use it. But I can tell you, like, when you first get this in your hand, you're going to be like, oh, wow, that feels pretty solid. And I know that the HCR13 MOV blade steel, you know, it certainly isn't anything exciting, but, you know, compared to K-Bar's OS 8 or Ganzo's 440C, you know, this stuff really can hold its own because it's honestly not that far off in terms of edge retention. And I got to tell you, it's kind of refreshing to find like a beater blade that, you know, like I genuinely like its appearance. And I'm just such a big fan of this drop point blade shape. Now, I know if you're not really feeling it, that's okay, because they also make this in a Wharncliffe version as well. And I am just super impressed with the factory edge that they put on this. I mean, not only, check this out, not only is it even on, you know, on both sides, but, you know, like that edge termination point right there at the plunge grind, it's perfect. I mean, I've seen knives, you know, costing double and triple the price of this that don't get that right. Usually the amount of like billboarding on a blade, you know, that never really bothers me all that much, but I could definitely see where, you know, some people may have kind of a problem with this because, you know, even I got to admit it's a bit much. This knife has what I like to call the trifecta. You know, that's just going to be, so two different opening options. So you can see we've got that flipper tab, or you can go ahead and use that thumb hole. And it also has a nice usable forward finger choil that is actually just large enough for my finger. So if you've got any, you know, and I have a medium-sized hand, so if your hands are larger, you may run into some problems here. And with this knife, really neither one of the opening options works better than the other because it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that detent. That detent is a little bit on the weak side. So yeah, it's easy, really easy to fail the deployment. I mean, it's not like to the point where I got to use any wrist or anything like that, but it is a very, very weak detent, but still makes an awesome fidget knife. Oh, and hopefully you caught that Spidey flick. If not, I'll go ahead and do that again for you because, yeah, it is just, I don't know what it is, but it's really super satisfying on this knife. And how about that centering? Man, that's dead on. And I want to show you that liner. What do you think? That's locking up. Let's call that maybe like, 45, 50%. And let me tell you, I have been fidgeting with this thing, well, a lot. And I noticed, though, after a couple cycles that pivot, it was starting to loosen a little bit. So I would go ahead and, I would tighten it. I would start to fidget again. And then after many cycles, it would loosen up again. But this time when I tightened it, it seems to be staying, because nope, that's rock solid. I mean, there's no play. And I've been doing this like all friggin' day with this knife. And I honestly thought that, since this is, it's considered a larger blade, and we've already established that the detent is, pretty weak, I really thought that it would be easy to shake loose, especially when I put it upside down. But no. So you can feel the weak detent, like on the deployment, but it's just enough, to retain that blade within the handle. So that's kind of a win. And so, of course, action this good, that's dropping shut like that, yeah, that's a ball bearing pivot inside. Everything about this knife is big, including that a 4.75 inch handle, which is very hand filling. And that's going to be because of this thickness, which, get this, it comes in at 0.66 inches. So yeah, that's approaching a broom handle. I will say, though, that it is super comfortable. And then there's plenty of room with my medium-sized hand, especially, well, yeah, when you go ahead and choke up on it. But unfortunately, this is also where I started to notice where, some of the corners were cut, to be able to sell this knife at a lower cost, because like all of these inside edges, yeah, they're kind of sharp. And then there's even one spot here, if you notice, yeah, right there on that lanyard hole. Now this thing definitely, it's definitely got some weight to it. It comes in a little over 5 ounces. I think it's like 5.22 or something like that. And part of the reason, though, for that is because, I should probably show you this way, is because those liners, I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, they haven't been skeletonized at all, which, whatever, it's not a huge deal, but, it's just a little missed opportunity there. I'm just not a fan of this pocket clip. Well, for some obvious reasons here. It's not a deep carry clip. It's not terribly shallow, but it's definitely not deep. And yeah, it's going to be just one position, so there's no lefty love. But it does have at least one redeeming quality, and that's going to be, well, this screw pattern that's holding the clip. Yeah, that is very common. So yeah, look at that. Those Civivi clips, the ones that you can get these on Amazon for like $5 a pair, something like that. They fit absolutely perfectly. And I'll go ahead and I'll make sure I throw the link to these clips down in the description. Now, in a second here, I want to show you how this thing, how it cuts. But first, you need to see what this knife, what it actually comes with, and the cost, because that's all obviously a big reason of why this is such an incredible deal. So they're selling these for about $19.90. And get this, it comes packaged, yep, it's a 2-slot zipper pouch, which you do not see very often on, if ever, on a knife that's under $20. All right, so let's go ahead and just see how well this 4mm thick blade stock, let's see how well it cuts. Wow. That definitely, I was kind of worried that the 4mm thick, on a blade that is just, it's not very tall. That's not even an inch wide. I was really nervous, man, that might not cut that well. But as you can clearly see, Man, it is like chewing through this stuff. And this is, and I've probably showed you this before, but this is some thick cardboard. Now, you know what I just thought of while I was trying to clean off, this blade from that cutting is that you could totally go ahead and you could buy a bunch of these and then keep the pouches and then just go ahead and give away these knives as gifts, especially like if you're somebody that's kind of running out of storage space for your own collection. And if you give it as a gift, I mean, the person's they're not going to have any idea that it comes in a zipper pouch. And not to pick on the Spyderco Tenacious here, because I know it's a fan favorite, but both of these two knives have very similar materials, yet the Tenacious here, it costs more than double. So if you've got like $20 burning a hole in your pocket, okay, and you're looking for a larger budget knife that's going to be pretty inexpensive to replace if you lose it or break it, and a knife that can handle some harder use type of jobs. Oh, and you got two knives and you need a place to put them. Well, you get a zipper pouch. Then, yeah, this is totally your knife. And I'm honestly not too worried about how this blade steel is going to perform, because I've used plenty of HCR 13 and it's always done well for me. Yeah, it's going to need to be resharpened, touched up quite a bit, but on the flip side, it's going to be pretty easy to do and should only take you like, a couple minutes. Now, up on the screen, you should see a video that I personally picked out for you to go ahead and watch next. And it's one I made recently about best bang for your buck knives. So basically, just some of the best knife deals out there in the knife market, which, yeah, that has a lot to do with we were talking about today. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and click on that subscribe. But I got to run. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you at the next video. Take care.